If you're in your 30s, living with your parents and feeling ashamed, this video is for you. Hi, I'm Rebecca Hawkes, a confidence coach, here to help you live your confident 30s. In this video, I'll be revealing the exact conversation I had with my friend that instantly removed any shame I had around living at home with my mum in my 30s. In 2018, after 4 years of living abroad, I came back to the UK temporarily for a year before I was going to move to Bali with my ex-boyfriend. And during this time, I decided to move back in with my mum because it made no sense to rent somewhere only being in the UK for a year. Fast forward a year, just before I'm supposed to join my boyfriend in Bali, he ends our 5-year relationship completely unexpectedly. I was left a few months before my 29th birthday, completely heartbroken and feeling like I was about to start my life from the beginning again. This is not how I imagined the last year of my 20s to be working out. A couple of months after the breakup, I'm still living at home with my mum. I'm not in a mental position to move out on my own. Financially, it's not viable either. And the pandemic happens. Now, during this time, I was actually quite grateful to be living with someone so that I wasn't spending these days locked in a house all by myself to cry about the ex. In 2020, I then turned 30, and as I watched my friends buying houses, getting married, having children, I was still at home running my business from the second bedroom. And whilst I felt comfortable here, whilst it was nice, whilst it was cozy, I love my childhood home, there was part of me that felt ashamed, because society tells you that when you are in your 30s, you're supposed to have your shit together. You're supposed to be in a committed relationship, married, thinking about kids, a homeowner, and I was none of these things. And however much I tried to ignore it, the shame slowly started creeping in. And then my brother got engaged. He had a baby, he got married, he had another baby, and I was still living at home. And although for the most part I was very comfortable where I am, and I'm very settled where I am, there was still that little voice in my head that was saying, but you're so behind. You should be further along. You're not where you're supposed to be. How can you be teaching other people to be confident when you're living at home? Then one day I went into London to meet one of my friends, and over a cold glass of Pinot Grigio, with ice in, obviously, if you put ice in your wine, let me know in the comments, we were chatting about the fact that I was still at home. And I was saying how much I was enjoying it. I was close to my grandparents, I get to spend time with my niece and nephew. Obviously, the rent's a lot cheaper than it would be if I was living on my own. I was talking about all these positive things, and I was explaining that even though I'm very happy where I am, there's part of me that felt like there should be more shame there for my decisions and for where I was in life. And as we carried on this conversation, my friend shared with me a conversation that she had had with a colleague of hers from work. Now, she worked with a nurse who comes from India, and during the conversation with this nurse, my friend said her colleague had turned to her and said, "Why don't people look after their parents here?" And my friend was like, "What do you mean?" She was like, "Well, everyone's in a rush to move out in the UK. Like, nobody stays at home with their parents. Nobody takes care of their parents." Now, in my friend's colleague's culture, it's normal to live with your parents till you get married. And then once you're married, it's normal to invite your parents into your marital home so that you can look after them as they grow older. And it's just that in the UK, we don't think like that. Our culture's different. We have this culture that tells us if we're not moved out by the time we're in our 20s, if we're not married in our 20s, if we're not popping out children in our 20s, we are not enough. There is something wrong with us. We are behind and we should feel ashamed. In that moment, during that conversation, I dropped the shame. I chose to hold on to the fact that I am happy with where I am in my life. I am happy with who I am. I am confident in myself, and it is my decision to stay at home with my mum. And in other cultures, that's completely normal. Just so happens our society tells us that that's wrong. Now, there's going to come a point in my life where my mum's not around, because we don't all live forever. And I know that when I reflect back on my life and these extra years that I've had with my mum, I'm going to be so freaking grateful. I'm going to be so happy that I got to enjoy this extended period of time with her, rather than spending time living on my own in an apartment that would probably have cost me an absolute fortune, and where I would probably have felt a little bit lonely. So I'm embracing this time in my life. I love living at home. I'm proud to live at home. I'm proud of who I am and the decisions that I'm making for my life. And if you feel ashamed of where you are, then please don't. know that you have nothing to be ashamed of. I really hope that this video helped you to feel more positive about your own living situation. If you are in your 30s, you're feeling lost and you want to feel more confident in yourself, then do go and watch this next video. Don't forget to hit subscribe and I'll see you in the next one.